Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson, and I will be bringing you all of today's top weather stories. We're basically just going to do a Rearcast. That is what I like to call a review of all of today's weather. Oh yeah, first of all, I would like to mention my bolo tie is paying homage to Cocopelli today. I'm trying to honor it and not be offensive, but this is a trickster god who brought fertility and the spring and the new rains. So I figured I wanted to start off with a little homage to any musical playing male fertility gods out there. I think that's a very interesting archetype. This one's so wrong. All right, there we go. Just wanted to do a little musical ditty. Haven't brought out the kalimba in a while. Just to, honor the flute playing traveling god. Let's see. First of all, let's go ahead and take a look at our volcanoes. We like to do that on this stream. We like to go from the bottom up, and the bottom of what I'm considering the spheres is our volcanoes. So taking a look at that is actually pictures from more recently in the past 8 hours, but let's look at Saturday, June 1st. This is marking 6 months that we've been broadcasting pretty much every day on this channel, so welcome to the 6 months club. Here is our current hazard map. I think we went over that last night for the Reykjanes Peninsula. The IMO, Icelandic Meteorological Office, has updated its hazard assessment following the ongoing eruption. Zones 1, 5, and 7 have been downgraded from high hazard to considerable, with reduced risks of gas pollution, ashfall, and lava flow in these areas, which I don't know if I agree with considering the changing winds. Zone 3, the active eruption site, continues to have a very high hazard level, and Zone 4 is in the red. Here is a view of the cinder cones, the actively erupting cinder cones, so-called spatter ramparts, as seen from Hagafell. That is one of the mountains in the area. I think on the... I think this is Hagafell. So I guess this would be looking north at the spatter cones, and you can see some trail, a river of lava there. And you note the hazy blue texture all over here. I mean, in the foreground, you can see it is clearly daytime, but it's very hard to see because we are experiencing a type of volcanic gas emission that has a lot more fine particulate matter that causes Rayleigh scattering, and that is what creates the sky being blue. Those fine particulates, but also when you have a high concentration of it, it'll make that real hazy, fiery like smoke, less like fog and more like smoke, like fire smoke. The eruption remains stable, and the eruptive fissure stretches to the north of the previous main spatter cone from the recent eruption. Sakurajima is got some volcanic ash exploding there, but unless that's all volcanic ash, I don't know how you'd be able to tell. Mount Ibu is experiencing stronger than usual eruptions this morning. It's been erupting pretty much every morning. And we've got images of Lewitobi, Low. You can still see the active incandescent glow at the top of the caldera of Lewitolo volcano, as well as all the clouds erupting from it. Interesting picture of Samiru. You can really see, I would say that there's crossed wind streams as you're going up in the atmosphere, and so some of these particles are getting launched higher and rotating back onto land. There's Dukono. And yeah, past 2 months, Mount Ibu has been a big player in our volcanic update. Dempo down in Sumatra, our newest addition to our regular players, has been exploding. Well, it exploded 2 days ago. Now we've been having volcanic ash reported to flight level 110 still. Yeah, puff emissions coming out of Sabancaya in Peru. Let's see. And then interesting imagery here from the little peak at June 2nd. The cloud over this little island just to the right or to the left of Paramushir Island, which is where Mount Ebeko is. This is a hole punch cloud, and that is a phenomenon that happens when a little cloud condensation nucleus makes it through to the upper levels where there is a bunch of either super cold water or super cold water vapor that wouldn't normally be able to form into a cumulus cloud. I assume that here it's happening because of the elevation of the island, because you can see the wind downstream of the mountain. You can see the motion. It almost is shaped like a comet or the Earth's magnetosphere. All of this negative space where you can see clearly to the surface of the ocean, that is where all the water came from to form some thicker clouds right at the top of the island. So that's a really cool thing. You can kind of see that in the normal atmosphere too. It's a really interesting example of a chain reaction that just one or two little condensation nuclei and all of this boom can condense into a cumulus cloud right in the middle of it. Let's see. Nothing else. Nothing else there. Let's go now to check out our earthquakes. Check out Earthquake 3D. Okay. Oh, I'm going to go. Yeah, this is more like one day, I think. Yeah, I think all of these are saying 6. So let's see. Yesterday into today, we are looking at earthquakes in Oklahoma. We have a 3.4 in Texas today. That is an interesting uptick. I'll go ahead and put on borders. Right in the middle of Texas, kind of where we had was a 2.2 at 6 kilometers depth again. As we move up into the West Coast, we see a 3.0 near Salt Lake City and a 3.1 up here in Montana. Those are relatively shallow as well. Let's not neglect the fact that there are some East Coast quakes, though. We've got a 2.6 at 5 kilometers depth here in Ohio near Lake Erie. We also have 1.7 at 5 kilometers depth. Then we had 2 more 1s and 1.8s here in northern New Jersey, in the same area of northern New Jersey that we've been seeing some unrest in this year. Let's see. Canadian feed is a little screwed up, but you can see, let's see, the most recent quake there was on the 29th. So that's a little anomalous. Here in Alaska, it doesn't look like we've seen. Okay, so we did get a 4.2. We got a 4.2 at 84 kilometers depth and a 3.4 at 14 kilometers depth. Most recent, no, that's in the Canadian feed. Never mind. So that's it for our larger quakes. And then around there, we've seen some scattered threes, and look, there's one on either side of the 4.2, then also rippling down into Canada. To California soon. Um, there's one person watching, but hello. Still let me. Error, internet connection problem. I am not having an internet connection problem, but my Earthquake 3D seems to think so. So I'm going to close that and just look at the quakes on a browser. Thankfully, I already have volcanodiscovery.com up. Let's check out our latest earthquakes. The strongest earthquake today was a 5.2 in the West Papua region of Indonesia. We had an average number of quakes magnitude 3 and above, and only 3 quakes magnitude 5 and above. That's a little bit down from yesterday, but we had a 4.6 in New Zealand. Let's see if I can. Yes. Okay. So in the Fiji area, we had a 4.9. Oh, that's how we didn't have any 5s, is we had a bunch of 4.9s and 8s. 4.5, 4.9, and a 4.9. These are at moderate depths, not super deep earthquakes. Let's see. The most, 4.8 in New Zealand. These are all at 33 kilometers depth. Then we had a lot around here in the Ring of Fire region, including some more on the Taiwan coast, a 4.4 at 6 kilometers depth. We also see a cluster of earthquakes, or at least earthquake reports, here in Western China in the Kazakhstan Xinjiang border region, and also on the Kyrgyzstan Xinjiang border region. The 0.8, 4.0, 4.3 region. So this could be multiple readings of the same movement or multiple movements with the same cause there. We're seeing, again, reported shaking on the Russian side of the border there. See, Pakistan had a 4.0 at 10 kilometers depth. And we also saw some quakes in Burma. Let's see. Also got quakes in Crete as well as in Turkey and the same area of Italy, Carfizi, 3.2. Then also in northern Algeria, we had a 3.1 off the coast of that was at 1 kilometer depth. And then another one further west in the Azores, a magnitude 3 at 8 kilometers depth. Now, zooming back out, This one doesn't have reported Northeastern American quakes, but we do have plenty of middle 3 to middle 4 magnitude quakes out southern Mexico, and activity in Puerto Rico, more activity here in Chile, and this little nexus region where Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina come together. As well as we've got 22 hours ago, a 4.9 out here on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. That was at depth. For the deal with that frequency number. Any in the Antarctic? Not showing much. Okay, yeah. I think we've covered most of them. That would be our highlights for today. So pretty average day for quakes. Now that we have gone through our earthquakes, we get into the juicy atmosphere. Okay, so the atmosphere. What have we got going on here? Well, we've got a decent looking center of circulation set up over Illinois right now, but it doesn't look like it's got much frontal activity associated with it on the frontal boundaries. This is an included front and stationary fronts. This is yesterday's stationary front morphing, but well behind the center of circulation. I mean, there's out front there is a little bit of precipitation. This is an area that's in a cold pool, and let me show you. I'm going to show you a temperature map on here. Well, this doesn't look very cold, but it is relatively cold. Let's see. As we get into this is relatively cool compared to out west. So all of the precipitation here doesn't have quite as much, like you wouldn't expect temperate temperatures like this all the way in Atlanta. So we're not seeing the big convection. We just don't have the energy available to turn these storms into big whoppers, but there is still precipitation going on, pop-up scattered thunderstorms or just rain showers should be expected throughout the southern Appalachians, Ohio River Valley area, and all over Michigan right now. But the big news is we've got a mesoscale discussion out here near, can I get it? Yeah, flash flooding possible with this cell out in East Texas and much of Louisiana. We're looking at rainfall rates of 1 to 3 miles, 1 to 3 inches per hour. Strong thunderstorms continue along a couple of axes/outflow boundaries. One drifting slowly northward and extending from Lufkin to near Alexandria, Baton Rouge, and Slidell, and another migrating southeastward across northeast Texas from Longview to near Palestine. I think they saw Palestine out there. I don't know. Just ahead of the storms within the pre-convective environment, strong instability and 1.8 inch precipitable water values were sustaining intense updrafts with water loading efficient rain rates approaching 3 inches per hour, especially in south central Louisiana. So we've got west northwesterly flow aloft, promoting moderate storm organization. I'd say that's probably what's missing out east. Outflow boundaries should converge in the general vicinity of Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana in the next 1 to 2 hours, resulting in an uptick of convective convergence and flash flood potential. And this was issued at 6:43 p.m. So this is what we are actually seeing. Got a really strong cell out here in the middle of the Gulf, though, that's got a special marine warning with it. Probably looking at wind gusts in excess of 50 knots and large destructive hail. Now, 50 knots is much faster than 50 miles per hour. I forget what the exact conversion is, but we're also looking at hail up to 2 inches. So if you are off the coast of Louisiana on like a oil rig or a ship or something out here, woo, that is some rough go of it. You're probably gonna get pelted with 2-inch hail. That could honestly sink a ship. Let's take a look at this puppy in action. Yeah, I think the 2 outflow boundaries that converge. Let's see if I can go back far enough to see this form. We also have a 2 other areas of interest going on. We'll be able to see them on the 250, but well, 3 really. Up here in the high plains, we've got multiple isolated supercells. Oh, I don't know if they could qualify as a supercell technically, but isolated thunderstorms that are getting their own special weather statement warnings capable of producing hail and strong winds. Severe thunderstorm warning from this one that's like just the size of a county, basically. We've also got stuff moving along the frontal boundary up here in the Oklahoma Panhandle area, as well as southwestern Texas, the area that we've been seeing some weird, strong, severe thunderstorms in. We are continuing to see that. So let's take a look at this in action. Maybe I can get a view that has all areas, but still zoomed in a bit. Oh, it didn't start loading until I hit play. Duh, of course. But yeah, looks like the really heavily forested areas are just kind of convecting their own little overnight summer shower type things. And over here in the plains is where you're getting that real severe weather tonight. Fortunately, we don't have any active tornado warnings. We have severe thunderstorm watches and some severe thunderstorm warnings and some flash flooding warnings, but we are not looking at any active tornado warnings at the moment. Oh man, loading 250 frames takes so long. Sorry, y'all. Remember to hydrate. Drink lots of water right now. It is certainly one of those days where you need a lot of rest and water. All right. Okay. Here we go. We're so close. This is going to be a great visual of seeing the outflow boundaries converge. Okay, yes, there. You see the one up here and the one up here. They're about to converge right in the mesoscale discussion area. Unfortunately, that is the same exact area that is without power from weeks, like a month straight of severe weather. So really unfortunate for people here in East Texas and Western Louisiana, because that is a really healthy system, of convergence there. And you can see these upper plains, the high plains area, these are driven by little cells that got their spawn point off the Rockies as this air mass was moving over the Four Corners region. It kind of jumped off the edges of the higher peaks And there is a lot of available energy in this area because there is so much heat and moisture in the area that has been fueling severe weather all month long. But without a good, larger scale movement, it can't organize into a giant storm system together. It just does these little one-offs. But also seeing that over here in Western Texas, these jump off the mountain storms kind of spin up out of nowhere and right around sunset get big enough to produce some decent reflectivity rates. And you can see this kind of forming into one big blob now, really dissipating out. It doesn't look that bad right now, but for a while there was a decent Boeing line segment here. Let's take a look as these outflow boundaries come up from the Gulf and down from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You can see it almost like one big arc here from San Antonio up to Alexandria down through New Orleans. Those two line segments move together like this and start spinning into a little triangle, really messing up the momentum of both of them, kind of like a head-on collision where they just kind of fizzle out. And there is, yes, some convection popping up behind them, but nothing too concerning. I want to take a look now at, we haven't taken a look at storm reports in a while. Okay. I'm going to switch over to mobile again, or to browser again. Yeah, and no, there was one reported tornado today in Brazoria, Texas. It was a land spout, and that is in coastal Texas. So there were lots of reports of wind, hail, but nothing like we've seen the past few weeks and months. Yesterday's storm reports, couldn't find them. 2 days ago, storm reports, we had 8 tornadoes reported on the 30th, and the 29th, I think, was also a pretty sparse, but wow, there was a tornado reported in Westmoreland, Pennsylvania. Brief video tornado provided along Route 982, damage to trees and shingles reported. That's really interesting. I missed that headline. This little looks like you can see the sweep of tornado, then hail, then high winds. Wow, that's weird. Speaking of weather, though, here's some video of what a tornado can do out of Gainesville, Texas. This is from about a week ago, May 26th, or really just at the beginning of this week, May 26th. That is terrible damage. It's not the worst we've seen this year, but it is still really humbling to see the power of storms. Including, and speaking of humbling, this is another report to be humbled by. We are looking at, out of India's heat wave, we've got up to 28 deaths and over 4,000 people have been hospitalized due to the soaring both temperatures and humidities in India right now. So with that, I want to take a look at our global weather. Let's look at Zoom Earth today and look at our temperatures. This shows you a little bit better that cold pool that cold dip I was talking about in the eastern United States. But okay, over here in, we've got some wildfires up here in Russia. I hope that's not permafrost thawing, catching on fire, but I mean, it really could be. I haven't seen any reports of methane from permafrost thaw sparking wildfires, but I think it's very possible. Up here in Western China, they have, I mean, this is the Himalayas. This is a pretty high mountain range, but they are well in the freezing range, while India is sweltering. Up here in New Delhi, it's 97 degrees Fahrenheit. We've got up to 100 degrees, 101 degrees. I think the Uttar Pradesh province was the one that has been pretty hard hit by this heat wave. We've also up in Pakistan and in the Hindu Kush region, we're looking at some really high temperatures. Yeah, it looks like right here in southwestern Uttar Pradesh near Orai, we've got temperatures near 103, 104 degrees. This is as they get closer to their river areas, closer to the river convergence zones or delta areas. They're looking at a lot hotter temperatures. That's probably lower elevations. The upper elevations would be a little bit cooled. But let's look at what it feels like. Yeah. Feels like 119 degrees in Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh, and the southeastern portion of Uttar Pradesh has the worst of these feels like temperatures. 119 feels like 118. It feels like it's 120 degrees Fahrenheit in that area, and Calcutta not getting off easily after we had a little mini typhoon make landfall that didn't really cool things off very much. Well, kind of did, but not enough. These feels like temperatures are just insultingly hot. That is like, I mean, even over here in Pakistan, we've got like 116 degrees feels like temperatures, and that is because we've got these high humidities in the same areas that we've got really warm temperatures. So like 69% relative humidity, 70% relative humidity in areas that deadly temperatures in India. Malik was forming here in the South China Sea, has just now made landfall as a tropical depression. Will probably weaken to a remnant low as it continues its journey, but that's the one that really sprang up out here. Let's see what it looks like on satellite. Yeah, I mean, not looking too nasty on satellite as the sun rises, though, so it was just weakening overnight. Looks like a lot of the rain bands are moving offshore, so that is fortunate. Got a lot of cold air sweeping down from China too. So, oh yeah, and then on radar you can see there's rain in the Uttar Pradesh area. I don't know how it wouldn't be raining there because it is just so hot and wet. I mean, of course, it's going to spur some precipitation. Got another little possible tropical cyclone out here in the Indian Ocean. Let me turn off my animation. Let's go to... Okay. This is the most up-to-date. We've got rain in Europe as well as... Oh, yeah, up in Canada as well. So looks like Canada and Russia are the most on fire areas, while India is where people are personally on fire, just temperature-wise. We've got wildfires out here in New Mexico and Arizona as well. The refuge fire is 95% contained. Spring fire, Indios fire is 50% contained, and so is the Blue 2 fire. And, you know, some of these are controlled burns. Like, it is actually good for the land to burn occasionally. But we do have, like, here in near Tallahassee, we've got some prescribed burns going on. But then in the main peninsula of Florida, we've got some actual wildfires that are not planned, that are contained partially, but, never what you want, unexpected fires. And then if you see these little heat anomalies, it's not, a lot of these say not live, but there are ways to sense heat from a satellite, and it'll show little pockets of weirdly hot regions, which is a really cool feature in my opinion. Let's go to, actually, we haven't shown any satellite imagery in a while. Let's go to check out good old goes east derived winds. And you can see upper level winds kind of ridging up here over the East Coast. So not getting good vorticity from our global circulations, which is why we don't have any like extra juice to really make something big out of the rain that is sweeping through the East Coast right now. But you do see some fast winds aloft. I mean, they're pretty zonal looking winds, if I'm being honest. There's a mini trough. We don't really see where it looks like there would be a troughing. We can't see the motion of the winds because there's no clouds at that area. Coming off the mountains with the lower level, you see the cyan and blue, yellow wind barbs. Those are showing that we are no, wind barbs are not Nicki Minaj fans farting. That is wind barbs are actually these little flag doohickeys. So you see the flag doohickeys pointing on shore. They are flying this way. It means that we've got motion below going this way, motion above going this way, and I've illustrated this before. The mean, the average, the middle part of those two is this swirling motion that really helps convection get kicked off, especially at the upper plains where we're going from the Rockies and to the flatlands. That's a really good topography to force this kind of convection. And then those two outflow boundaries combining here over Louisiana, really messing up the night for everyone there. Okay, let's now go to look at our Schumann resonances. How's everybody doing out there? Are we drinking water? Are we eating snacks? Are we taking care of ourselves? Okay, looks like we had a pretty calm Schumann day today, which is good. We did have another high level burst. You see this what I term mode 5 showing up around 32 hertz. This is a weird high frequency modality that has been showing up towards the end of the day in UTC time here. It might be, don't know what that could be. I was trying to speculate on maybe if this is a local Tomsk, Russia station anomaly, but I'd have to take a look at the Cumiana, Italy station to see if that's showing up there too. But yeah, we are seeing occasional little negative, not umbra, parabola. Negative parabola here. Are those negative or are those positive? It's a happy face, so it's positive. I don't know. These little arcs right here. We're looking at, well, they're relative minima, so which is why I want to say, but they also are arcing up in hertz. So is that a maximum or a minimum? I don't know. From the way we have our chart oriented, it looks like they are arcing down to a minimum, but actually the values are higher as you go down. So maybe it's a local maximum. Anyway, we're getting these periodic little bursts that might indicate something, but it's still a very new field to study, so I'm not going to speculate on what it indicates. And yeah, you can see that in mode 4, we do have little spikes of mode 4 lead power coming in. But really, if the highest power level that mode 1 is coming in at is 24, we're not super high on power right now. High on power. No, we're not. Frequencies really jumped up there for mode 4, though. Oh my goodness. Is that what I clicked on? Hold on. Frequencies. Yeah, our average mode 4 frequency jumped up really high, and I think that is due to that averaging in of the above mode 4 area. And that really high blip that we saw on the radar. Everything else is sitting pretty relatively high as well. So when we don't have a lot of power exchanged, we do see a reduced, or when there's less power exchange between the top and bottom of the increase, there's not. Let's see. Now let's go from there to check out what our magnetosphere looks like. I bet it's charged up and not really decharging very well. All right, are we going to load? Please, I'm begging you. Show me the pretty little donut around the Earth. Like this being the contact lens and this being your pupil. This looks like. Raise your hand in the comments if. Oh yeah, we're looking actually at really low pressures around the Earth today. I'm not seeing anything come in. Maybe yesterday was our solar storming event that we got from that X flare, or maybe the models that said we weren't getting a glancing blow were right. Yeah, there's only a few little whoops, few little boops. And the density cone around the Earth is pretty condensed. That looks pretty normal, pretty nominal for today. I never go on this part, but space weather enthusiasts dashboard is a pretty interesting one. All right, we did have some flares today. Looks like yeah, this is what we expected to happen. We expected a little bit of a power burst or a little bit of a solar storm to come on the 1st today, but looks like it didn't quite pan out that way. Let's go to spaceweatherlive.com. We can check out, ooh, look at all of those coronal mass ejections. Looks like we've gotten from 32 to 39, that's 8 different coronal mass ejections, and one of them is a type 3 partial full halo. Beautiful. I have a feeling this is from 3679, and we see Venus moving into frame ever closer to the conjunction with the sun. This is what we mean by under the beams in astrology when people say that Venus is under the beams of the sun. Yeah, quite literally, you have to peer through the corona of the sun in order to see Venus right now. That is a beautiful, large, and pretty symmetrical looking explosion, especially even on the scatter plot, the box and whisker plot. It looks pretty good. That's like a nice ripple right there. That'll be exciting to see if that gets a component Earth directed. Let's take a look at our solar flares. Okay, so, all right, yes, and what I saw on the Space Weather Prediction Center website was correct. We have seen 3 different X flares. Remember last night, right before we went live, I saw that we had just had an X class flare in the 1.18 region. Now we have wider flares, like the it's not quite as skinny of a peak, it's widening out. That means that there's more X-ray flux happening overall, because the wider the flare is, the longer that elevated time gets to be pushing out. So there's more area under the curve, meaning there's more actually happening from, like, even if a very tall, skinny one happened, sometimes these lower, wider ones can push out a lot more X-ray flux, but it's not as much of a change, so it doesn't seem like as much of a storm because it's not as much of a rapid gradient. But yeah, today we had 2 different X-class flares. We had a X 1.43, which was stronger than the one last night, and we had an X 1.03. So both just barely into the R3 radio blackout radio storm range. Nobody anywhere close to upper X-class territory, but we are looking at possibly more daily X-class flares again, now that we've got region 3697 as a big X-class flare player again. Oh yeah, double impulsive X-class flares. Let's see what they've written about this. There's some beautiful imagery of it. Any future solar flares will likely launch Earth-directed. It has decayed quite a bit since being 3664, but it does still have the beta gamma delta magnetic complex with one large delta structure. I was saying last night I thought I saw 2, but M and low-level X-class activity remains possible in the days ahead. Looking quite healthy to me. Let's see sunspot regions. Let's take a look at its most recent imagery. Yeah, remember yesterday this was kind of swirling out. This blue region right here was showing some nice spiraling. It looks a little less well-defined today. Looks a little less like a pot of boiling water. But it does still have some really steep angles in there, some really sharp curves. So those areas where, like, you're seeing points, anything that looks spiky, those are areas where charge can concentrate and discharge really easily. So anything that looks like a nice thing that would get stuck with static electricity if it was on the end of your finger and you touched a doorknob, like those are the things that concentrate charge to the little teeny tiny surface area. Those can discharge more readily. let's see. Let's go to real-time solar activity. 3691 has now been downgraded to a beta gamma type. We see Venus inching ever closer to the sun. Protons remain pretty nominal. We did have a type 4 radio emission start at 20 UTC today. Yeah, there's three X-class solar flares within 24 hours and a strong R3 radio blackout level. Our auroral activity is probably pretty low. Yeah, very, very little auroral activity, which is unfortunate because we are in the waning crescent moon phase, which means we are looking at aurora chase. There's just nothing to chase today. Take a look at the video of this explosion. These X-class flares. Woo! Buddy, we're storming. It is storming up a storm. There's one. There's the other. That one was kind of like a scythe. Oh, there's the third. That was a really cool one. Look at all this reaction to it after this third one. It's really ricocheting out. There's a W formation in there. We could see it really go from here to here to here. Let's see. Now let's take a look at our planetary weather. So, planetary weather, we are ever closer to Venus Cazimi, the sun. We are looking at Venus at 11 degrees Gemini and the sun at 12 degrees Gemini. Jupiter is still trying to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, both at the first degree. Jupiter is at the first degree of Gemini. So Jupiter in Gemini is just getting started. Whatever this week has brought in for you. Jupiter in Gemini, here we go. We've also got Mercury separating from its conjunction with Uranus, but still conjunct within a 3-degree orb. Not much else has changed other than the fact that this Venus-Sun conjunction is moving into a really wide orb of squaring Saturn in Pisces. We've got the moon in Aries, and it just passed over the North Node, meaning that it's right at that equatorial plane. It's right in the center of its highest and lowest. It's most furthest north and furthest south. Its North Node, I think, is when it's going up, when it's going north. So this is where the moon has just swung down in its dip and is currently passing the middle of the Earth to go to its most northerly point in its orbit. That means that the moon did also just go through the area where we saw our eclipse earlier in the year. So we're going to have the moon moving through its eclipse point into a conjunction with Chiron, then Mars. So this should be a pretty spicy end to the... I heard something weird. It should be a pretty spicy end to the Mars in Aries sequence. Unfortunately, that isn't like always a great thing. But, you know, Aries can have a very positive connotation because self and individuation is ultimately a good thing and part of the reason why we're here on Earth, in order to develop individual flavors, characteristics, stories, narratives, and, you know, character building. This is character building vibes here. And the moon is currently sextile that sun conjunct Venus. Okay. Oh, and it is a Saturn day. I started this broadcast in a Saturn hour, and it is currently a Jupiter hour. Sorry if I'm looking distracted. I'm hearing lots of noises in another room, and I'm like, what's going on? Okay. Yeah, so today, I don't know about you guys. Today, I did witness somebody having a very bad day. At my work, it wasn't anybody working for the place where I work, but at my work, there was unfortunately an injury in the vicinity that I witnessed. And it was my first thought was like, after, oh my God, are they okay? I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I was expecting when I said Mars and Uranus in a first harmonic aspect to each other. I don't like that. That's exactly what I was thinking was something's about to break. I don't like that. So yeah, that was really unfortunate. Thoughts and prayers are with that person. Yeah. Really sad, but they are okay now, like they're stabilized, but it was just yeah, there was an injury today that I witnessed, and that was really unfortunate. Yeah, let's go to now there were some headlines I didn't get to because these were space headlines. T Corona Borealis is a star system that might have a nova soon. A supernova is the death of a giant star, while a nova leaves its stars alive after a sudden explosive flash. This one, the two T Coronae Borealis, located 3,000 light years from Earth, has a white dwarf circling a red giant star, and the white dwarf has more mass, and it sucks mass off of the red giant, and eventually the mass it sucks off the red giant gets so dense and heavy that it collapses inward and starts a chain nuclear reaction inside the star that emits a bright light. And this particular system has been doing that about every 80 years. So the time it takes to amass the amount to accrete the amount of mass needed for the uncontrolled thermonuclear reaction is about 80 years. And the last time it happened was 1946. So there is, I don't remember why they said they thought it was gonna be this year. Yeah, it didn't say why they thought it would be this year instead of 2 years from now, but it is pretty cool that this will be a nova that we'll be able to see with our naked eye. It'll look like a new bright star. So that's really, when it happens, it'll appear like a new star in the sky. So that will be really exciting. It could happen between February and September of this year. It could be 5 or 26. So, that is kind of a clickbaity article, but I thought it was really cool. And here's more scientists confirming that we might see solar maximum earlier than expected. We were expecting solar maximum around 2025, but a lot of experts and some commentators have recently noted, here's a good animation of what a solar storm does to the planet's magnetosphere. There you go. Look at that. the blue representing the planet, the Earth's magnetosphere, and these oncoming lines of magnetic field. These magnetic field lines linking up with the Earth's magnetic field. This would be a southward orientation, so it partners really well. That's when we get good ion precipitation events and good corona or aurora borealis events. Anyway, that was a distraction in the distraction. Anyway, solar maximum is thought by more and more people to be maybe here this year as opposed to next year. So let's go ahead and take a look at the vibes from the cards today. I think I'll just do our regular spread where we get one card from each. First, we are going to ask the tarot to lead the reading. This is our little raw labradorite friend with that one. Oh, these want to jump out already. Okay, let me get a little shuffle in and then we can... Okay. All right, what is the vibe coming in from beyond? Okay. Got the Two of Swords upright. This is usually one that indicates a decision must be made, but the two options in the decision are equally valid and equally painful. There's no right answer because there's no wrong answer. You just have to make a decision one way or the other. And it's a really difficult card. It's associated with the first decan of Libra, which, if you know anything about the stereotype of Libras being indecisive, this is the essence. This is the card that's the essence of that. Now, this is somebody it's got the moon on it, a crescent moon, and this is a waxing crescent, not a waning crescent, but crescent moon nonetheless, indicating that there is a potential that there is something unknown to the decider. Moon meaning there is something happening on the more subtle planes that may or may not be getting factored into the decision. You also see that the individual sitting here is blindfolded, indicating that maybe they are not even we are not accepting new information at this time. Something my brain says often to me when I am indecisive is, no, we will not be considering any new facts. Let's just work with the ones we've got right now, because this is a lot already. You see calm waters and rocky seas. I think that is a pretty clear visual representation of, yeah, it's calm right now because we haven't made a decision, but there is a chance for danger with either way the decision could go. You can tell that sometimes I pull cards and I immediately know what they are because sometimes they speak to me, and other times I have just pulled this card so many times that I know it very well. This is also the decan my Jupiter is in, so maybe I just have an abundance of just pick one type decisions in my life, and I'm very familiar with Two of Swords vibes. But the key is to trust your gut, trust your intuition. It is an air sign card, so we might overanalyze and try to go the overly masculine route with this decision sometimes, but the key to making, realizing, and trust the gut. I lost signal for a second. There we go. We're back. I've never drawn this card before, but it's at the bottom of the deck. I just wanted to show you guys the cool imagery of it. I won't read it until I actually draw it, but that's a really cool one. There's also a rainbow in this cloud. In this deck, there's also a card with a rainbow, which is cute. Okay, so we're going to the liminal space. This Two of Swords feels very liminal space to me. She's sitting on a bench at a seaside, which I see as like a public bench, a park bench. I don't see this as like someone's seaside resort. I see this as very much somebody in a liminal space, both physically and metaphorically. So that's a really cool aspect to this card. Okay, there's a lot coming out here. I'm going to make this one. Oh, okay. Okay, The Way Home. The Way Home. And this one, I believe, all it says in the book is, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. I'm pretty sure that is just what it says in the book. And the image is a map that says that. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So that is the answer to the Two of Swords, basically. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Trust the gut. Just trust it. Trust the microbiome. There's a whole democracy of... I always think of the microbiome as like a democracy of microorganisms inside of your body, and the soil as the gut of the world. And those two microbiomes make up a democracy that do a really good job of general consensus taking for making decisions. And sometimes we need to check in with our general populace, our gut. Well, if your authority is there. Mine also is a heart-centered. Trust your heart, too. Sometimes when people say trust your gut, they mean trust your heart. Those are different feelings. Trusting your heart will feel you... trusting your heart will fill you with a feeling of warmth and light and clarity and like courage. Yeah, the word courage comes from the same root word as the Spanish for heart, corazon, comes from. It's the Latin cor or something. The courage means the trusting in the heart, and there's a feeling that's like a gut feeling, and that is slightly different than a heart courage feeling. Maybe you have a decision to make that you know which one you would like to make, but you don't have the courage to make that the decision. Okay, so finally we've got a selenite associated deck, our law of attraction, words of affirmation, the good challenge deck. The deck that is so positive that it is challenging. Okay, what goes with Two of Swords and The Way Home? Sometimes they just don't want to pop out. Might have to pick one. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to use my discernment in this. Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. I picked the one that we did last night. That's funny. So if you're just tuning in, we got the Two of Swords for our tarot card today. And the way home, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And for our last card of the evening, we've got seeking approval of others hinders my joyousness. So that is probably very involved in your decision-making process here. If the way you feel depends on anything outside of you, you're in trouble. But if you depend only upon your connection with your own inner being, then everything in your experience falls into alignment. So that is a very clear reading to me now. Let's make some decisions based on our heart feeling and what we need to be courageous about, not what we think other people want us to do or say or decide. Sometimes that is the reason we're stuck in a Two of Swords place, is because we are weighing how we value our own input with how we value the rest of the world. And if you truly equally love yourself as well as others, it is going to be very hard to decide when your will and your authority is in contrast with what other people want from you or what you think other people want from you. But the good thing is that loving yourself and trusting your own heart-centered authority is loving everyone. And you can make a good heart-centered decision if you are truly doing what makes you feel the most joyous and vibrant and loving. So that's all I've got for you guys tonight. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.